Thank you, sir. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, to give his remarks to the media.
Excelentíssimo senhor Primeiro-Ministro da República da Índia, Narendra Modi, amigos ministros da Índia, amigos e amigas ministros e ministras do Brasil, meu caro amigo.
And my dear friend Modi, it is a reason of happiness for me to return to this country for the 6th time. The meeting between India and Brazil is a meeting of superlatives. We are not just the two biggest democracies of the global south. This is a meeting of the world's pharmacy with the world's barn, and a digital superpower with a renewable energy superpower. We are both mega diverse countries and hubs of of the cultural industry, and we both defend multilateralism and peace. The invitation by Prime Minister Modi for this state visit and also to attend the AI Impact Summit shows the synchrony and mutual trust that binds us together. A few months ago, in July last year, I had the honor of hosting my friend Modi in Brasilia. His visit was a milestone. On that occasion, we restructured the bilateral cooperation agenda in 5 areas: defense and security, food and nutritional security, energy transition and climate change, digital transformation and emerging technologies, and industrial partnerships in strategic areas. Today, in Delhi, in the year when we celebrate 20 years of the establishment of the Brazil-India Strategic Partnership, we are going into action. Therefore, the preparation of this visit involved the visit of welcoming and a business delegation last year. Also involved the early arrival of many ministers and 300 business people this week. We signed several agreements that provide concrete quality to our cooperation in these areas. It is notable the Indian evolution in cutting-edge sectors such as information technology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and space exploration. They create a lot of cooperation opportunities with Brazil. And this translates our commitment with an agenda that places technology at the service of inclusive development, increasing investments and cooperation in matters of renewable energies and critical minerals is at the core of the pioneering agreement that we have signed today. At the level of the Global Biofuel Alliance, our countries are securing the due place for this technology in the climate agenda and global energy agenda. The establishing of synergies between the industrial hubs of health for our countries is also a central part of the bilateral cooperation. India and Brazil work side by side and have done so for decades in defending equal access to medication, above all generic medication, and also for health sovereignty at the World Health Organization. In this visit, Fiocruz has signed several agreements for research and local production of strategic inputs such as vaccine for tuberculosis and oncologic medications, immunosuppressors and for neglected and rare diseases. There is also a great potential for cooperation in the area of smart hospitals, such as the hospital that Minister Padilla visited in Bangalore 2 days ago. In the area of defense, our aeronautic industry has been strengthening its presence in India, as it can be seen by the opening of the Embraer office in Delhi. The trilateral agreement between Mazagon Dock and the Indian and Brazilian navies is going to be part of the maintenance activities for submarines of the Scorpion class and other military vessels. All of these efforts will help for us to reach the target that Prime Minister Modi and I agreed on last year of increasing our trade flow to $20 billion by 2030. In 2025, bilateral flow surpassed $15 billion for the first time in history, a growth of 25% in relation to 2024. We are moving forward so fast that we should revisit our goal of reaching 30 billion in exchange by 2025. And then depending on the Brazilian business delegation that actually came to India, we are going to continue with this bilateral relationship. The agreement to increase the validity of tourism and business visas to 5 to 10 years is an initial step to facilitate and increase the flow of people between our countries. In the same way, the Brazil-India Economic Forum will gather about 600 representatives from the private sectors from both countries looking for the many business opportunities. As a reply to the trade unilateralism, Mercosur as well as India recently concluded a free trade agreement with the European Union. Therefore, it is more than natural that Mercosur and India work so as to increase significantly the preferential trade agreement which we already have in force amongst us. My friends, a turbulent global scenario requires our countries to strengthen and deepen our strategic dialogue. I hosted the presidency of the G20 in Prime Minister Modi in 2024. I've received the presidency from him, and this year India received from Brazil the presidency of BRICS. This presidency flow between our countries is extremely beneficial to the interests of the global South. India and Brazil are crucial voices at the UN, at the WTO and G20. We are partners in building a multilateral governance which is more just, peaceful, governed by international law. Prime Minister Modi and I talked at length about how we can persevere the paths to peace. There is no possibility of having a fair, sustainable development in a conflicted world. As stated by Prime Minister Modi at the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, it is impossible for us to run a 21st century software in old typewriters from the 20th century. We emphasize our commitment with the UN reform, particularly of the Security Council, so that it may represent the interests from Global South and that have Brazil and India as natural candidates. Here it is important to remind the Indian and Brazilian press that for over 20 years, Brazil, India, Japan and Germany set up a group called G4, where we defend the increase of the UN Security Council, which is something that hasn't happened until now, but will definitely happen soon, because the UN needs more representation. The UN needs to have the force, the strength to interfere in the conflicts that we see throughout the world today. And if it is, a body that doesn't operate, this will not survive. So we're going to continue to fight for the UN to be more representative with more countries throughout the world and more, Brazil and India as members of the Permanent Security Council. Increasing the categories of permanent and non-permanent members is an essential condition to provide legitimacy and efficacy to global governance amidst so many challenges. We support the efforts for the end of the war in the Ukraine. It is also urgent, important to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people. Brazil has really repudiated the attacks in Kashmir. We know that terrorism is not associated to any religion or nationality. Also, it cannot be confused as public security challenges that many countries face. These are different phenomena, and that should not be used as an excuse for intervention at the margin of international law. I reaffirm to Prime Minister Modi that Brazil is committed to maintaining, keeping South America as a zone of peace. After all, the only